And welcome to Gallifrey's Most Wanted. I'm Ross Aiken. I'm old who.
You know fairy tales. A good wizard tricked it.
And I'm Victoria Wheeler. I'm new who.
I hate good wizards and fairy tales. They always turn out to be him.
And we are in the year 102 AD. I feel like it a little bit today. For the season finale of season 5, the Pandorica opens and the Big Bang. Matt Smith's first season finale. And I'm excited. It was nice to watch this one. I hadn't watched this one in a while. I really do enjoy season 5 a great deal as a whole, and this one a lot. And I know one of Vic's favorite moments is in this one.
Yeah, this is my second favorite, yes.
Your second favorite moment is in this one.
Yeah.
But there's a lot to talk about, and let's jump to the synopsis and we'll be right back. The Pandorica opens and the Big Bang. Story 5.10. Writer Stephen Moffat. Director Toby Haynes. Executive producers Stephen Moffat, Pierce Wegner, and Beth Willis. Originally aired June 19th and June 26th of 2010. In the 19th century France, Vincent van Gogh is distraught over his latest painting. In wartime, Bracewell shows it to Churchill, who calls a doctor, but is connected to River Song in her 52nd century prison cell. She breaks out and steals the painting from the Royal Collection on the Starship UK, then acquires a vortex manipulator from Dorium Moldovar. The Doctor and Amy arrive in Britain, 102 AD, where River has infiltrated a Roman camp. She shows them the painting of a TARDIS exploding. It contains the coordinates of this time and space and is titled The Pandorica Opens, after a fairy tale about a cage built to contain the most fearsome being in the universe. They ride to nearby Stonehenge, and in a cavern underneath they find the fabled Pandorica. It begins to unlock. The stone circle is a transmitter broadcasting warning across all of time and space. This has attracted every alien species to the planet, including Daleks, Cybermen, and Centaurans, apparently to prevent whatever is in the Pandorica from escaping. The Doctor and Amy are attacked by a dilapidated Cyberman but is saved by Rory, who has been reincarnated as a Roman, although Amy does not remember him. While the Doctor holds off the alien fleets gathering above Stonehenge, the TARDIS takes River to Amy's house, where she discovers the Pandorica and the Romans are based on Amy's memories. She warns the Doctor, who realizes the TARDIS has arrived on Amy's wedding day, and orders River to leave at once. The controls will not respond, as a voice claims silence will fall. Amy begins to remember Rory, but just as he and the other Romans reveal, they are Autons. Representatives of all the alien species teleport to the cavern. They formed an alliance and built the box to hold the Doctor, so he cannot detonate the TARDIS and cause the cracks that it will engulf all the universe. He argues only he can stop his ship from exploding, but they seal him inside the Pandorica. Rory tries to resist his Auton conditioning, but he shoots Amy. With River trapped inside and the TARDIS explodes, and the entire universe erupts. Only the Earth survives at the center of the cataclysm, where Amelia Pond dreams of stars that do not exist. She goes to see the Pandorica on display at the National Museum, and when she touches it, it opens to reveal the older Amy inside. Back in the 2nd century, the Doctor appears to Rory and gives him his sonic screwdriver so he can open the Pandorica and release the Doctor. They place Amy inside so its status field will preserve her until the DNA of her younger self in 1894 years' time revives her. Auton Rory guards it for all the time while the Doctor uses River's vortex manipulator to jump ahead and arrange his own rescue. Reunited in the museum, the Doctor, Amy, and Rory discover that with all the stars gone, what appears to be their sun is actually the exploding TARDIS, held in a time loop to protect River. The Doctor teleports her to the museum. They are chased by a calcified Dalek, a relic from the erased universe, that is revived by the light from the Pandorica. It shoots the Doctor, and he teleports back 12 minutes to give himself time to implement a plan while the Doctor is chasing his earlier self. The Doctor flies the Pandorica into the exploding TARDIS to transmit its reconstruction field across every moment in history and reboot the universe, even though it means he will never have existed. He finds himself rewinding through his recent life, reaching the night Amelia waited for him to return. He talks to her in her sleep about himself and the TARDIS before the cracks finally close. In the rebooted universe, Amy's parents are alive and she and Rory get married, yet she has a nagging feeling someone is missing. She remembers the Doctor's words when she was a child, and he and the TARDIS are restored. Another great synopsis, a long one, guys. That took a lot out of me. But it's the New Who program guide by Paul Smith with a foreword by the master himself, Jean-Marc Lavoisier. Go get one. It's worth it. All right, that's a synopsis. I'm going to go first. I think this is one of the perfect... I am the king of nitpicking season finales in Modern Who. I think a lot of them are flawed. And it is just my persnickety artistic attitude that I think things should be... They don't need to be so big that you lose the story. And I feel that some season finales of Doctor Who in the modern era are too much. You're not focusing on the story. But this one is tight.
I think this is the greatest season finale in the history of Doctor Who.
Okay,
I'm going to go all the way out there to say that.
Okay, because I was going to ask that at the end. What would you rank? Give best and worst. But we can. But I think it is one. I'm going to have to think about if it's the best. It's my favorite.
No, I've actually gone through and looked at all of the modern Who. I can't ever remember what's a season finale because the idea of a finale wasn't really. Yeah. I mean, you would deal sometimes with regenerations, but Logopolis, right? Like, I mean, they weren't a thing.
The only one it is, I think, is Trial of the Time Lord.
I think,
and that's loose, and that's.
I mean, that's
loose.
a whole season, right? Like, but this is better.
Oh yeah.
This is better.
Oh no.
The only one that I think sort of gives it a run for its money is World Enough in Time and Doctor Falls, right? I think those are pretty epic.
Yeah.
I think those are epic, right? Those are big, and they are. But
they have moments because one of my favorite moments is in that one when Nardole goes, Nardole's exit.
Yeah. Oh, God. And so it's, but this one is so tight and interesting, right? There is nothing that isn't important, right?
There's no fluff.
Right, because it is all explained. Every single moment of the story that occurs, down to the fact that Caitlin Blackwood, you know what? Why is her name in my head, right? I have like citations to Supreme Court cases, but I also have the name of the actor who played Amy Pond when she was young. So anyway, down to her having a soda in her hand, right?
Oh God, yeah.
Like it's that carefully done, and that's Moffat at his greatest when he is both big and careful, right? Big and precise. Because there's plenty of times where he's big and it's like, wait, that didn't make any sense, right? Everything in this everything
this time it's
sense.
not.
Yeah, no. And the writing's beautiful.
Oh, no, it's his 4th of his 5 Hugos or the 5th of his 5 Hugos for short form?
I don't know.
No, I wouldn't look. No, it's in the wiki page. I can't remember. It's one of his. He won 5 Hugos for Doctor Who.
It's brilliant.
Link, Girl in the Fireplace, Library. No, Library didn't win. But he won a bunch.
No, this is what, and I do this with Moffat. Okay, when Moffat is great, I become the word nerd that I am. Mm-hmm. And what is brilliant in this one is when the Doctor gets up close to the Pandorica, right, and he's scanning it with his sonic, and he's looking over it, and they walk in, they enter and they see the Pandorica, and they say like it's the prison for the most feared being in the universe. And River says, more than likely than not, it's a fairy tale. And then he takes that fairy tale theme and he gets up close to it. And he says, the doctor, describing what the Pandorica might be for. He says, there was a goblin or a trickster or a warrior, a nameless, terrible thing soaked in the blood of 1 billion galaxies, the most feared being in the cosmos. Nothing could stop it or hold it or reason with it. One day it would just drop out of the sky and it would tear down your world. And Amy, playing the role of the companion, asking what our question is, how did it wind up in there? And the doctor says, fairy tales, a good wizard tricked it. And River says, I hate good wizards and fairy tales. They always turn out to be him. And it's a great line. And
that's one of my favorite lines of all time.
Yeah, but this is Moffat telling you who he believes the Doctor to be. Right?
Oh yeah.
Then this
is the season of the fairy tale.
It is.
It is, and that is why I think it is one of Modern Who one of the best seasons. It's the tightest, because he picked the theme that his Doctor Who was going to be about fairy tales.
Yep.
And fairy tales are you know what I mean? They're less rules,
right?
Or the rules are a little more simplistic.
But this is almost like a thesis statement.
Oh yeah.
Right? This line is he's a goblin and a trickster and a warrior, right? Like this is who. If he's selling this to Matt Smith at the beginning when he casts him, he says you're the most feared being in the cosmos. Nothing could stop you or hold you or reason with you. Right?
Yeah.
This is his belief about who the Doctor is. And it's delivered by the Doctor with Rivers snarking in the background. And so it's just beautiful. And the language is great. This is the thing that Moffat does best. Right, we always talk about the "here I am" moment, right? I am speaking, right? Like,
oh God, it's such a good speech, and it's one of those speeches that's so good that they hand it to other actors who have played the Doctor at conventions so they can do it. Yeah. And I've listened to them all, and they're great. And it is, and he's my Doctor.
Yeah.
I mean, it is, and it's because of this season. I get why Moffat will tweak people, especially in the next season. I have issues with the next season. Especially its finale is kind of a muddled mess. I think the season starts out great, but then it gets a little muddled in the middle and at the end because Moffat-y gets a little more Moffat-y. But I think Matt's last season I like Matt's last season. I get some of the
I
thing,
like
but
all
this
of
one,
Matt's seasons. I
like Matt. I mean,
I do too.
Yeah.
And I love that rubbery face, right? I love the idea of the floppy Doctor. I love it. Now, for me, this is what explains Doctor Who love and lore and fandom for me is that I just love Tennant. It's almost as if there is an emotional irrational, right? I can't even explain why I love Tennant. I just love Tennant. There's something inside my heart that goes boom. I probably prefer the Matt Smith story arcs, right? And episodes, right? If you were to ask me which ones to put where, and I might even say more of the Matt Smith, but there's just something about my heart that goes blink, right? About David Tennant. Right? And he's not speaking in his natural accent, which would hook me, right? He's not being himself, which hooks me. He's a child of the Kirk, as every one of my ancestors ever was, right? All of my ancestors on my mother's side were Presbyterian ministers, right?
Yeah.
Right? They were, so there's as is David Tennant's father, and plenty of his ancestors, and so there is a kinship that I feel with the man that has nothing to do with the Doctor. So I don't know why I love the Doctor, but I don't have to know. Right? I don't have to know
Yeah.
why I love Tennant. I happen to love many of the Matt Smith episodes more, but I don't have to justify that.
Yeah, it's just the way. I mean, you're gonna like, something this big of fandom and stuff is there parts I love.
Mm-hmm.
Like I love Pertwee. He's not my doctor, but there are aspects of the Pertwee I really love.
Uh-huh.
Liz, that first season, I really love that first season. But this is.
And I love
This is-
Capaldi, right? Like this is one of
Oh
the
my
things
God,
I
yeah.
love aspects of Capaldi. That there's something that burns inside of him that makes him mean, that I I relate to. I don't even know that Matt would wind up in my list of favorite doctors, right? Because I love 2, I love 7, I love 10, and I love 12. And then I deal with 11 and 13, right? But in terms of the ones that I relate to, there's something about, right? There's something about them but I don't, like, I love, when I think Modern Who, I often think 11th Doctor.
Yeah.
He's just not in my list of favorites. He's a penumbral existence. I think he's a great doctor. I think he's a great example of what Doctor Who can be.
Yeah.
As is Jodie.
And one with him, he's Matt's not like, I think Matt's a little bit silly like this probably in private, but that's not what you see. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Matt, and he got it. And I would like to have wished one day they show his audition to see the thing that convinced, because Moffat talked that he didn't like all these young people on his list, and then he saw Matt and he picked Matt.
Yeah.
No,
and they've said the same thing about Scooty.
Yeah.
That they had a doctor sort of picked out, and Moffat had one that they'd all sort of agreed to, and then Smith walked it. And makes sense, and it makes me excited about Scooty's portrayal, right? But we don't have Doctor Who without William Hartnell, right?
Yeah.
And so when I think old Doctor, right? When I think old Doctor Who, old Who, I think Hartnell, right? Because that's where it all begins. I don't have the the images in my head of Troughton so much, but I get a warm feeling when I think about Troughton or when I see Troughtons, right? Everybody in the world thinks Tom Baker when they think old Who, and I don't, right? He's not my cup of tea. There's some of his stuff are some of the greatest ones ever, right? They'd be on a short list of the greatest episodes of Doctor Who ever, but he's just not my cup of tea, right? Neither is 5, neither is 6, and then there's, for me, 7, who is the Goblin, right? In Moffat's description, right? The 7 is the Goblin, 2 is the Trickster, right? Like there are these great takes on the Doctor that I just really love, but they're nobody else's sort of ultimate portrayal of the Doctor. That's not 2 and that's not 7. That's not what they're doing, and I don't know that that's what 10 is doing, right? But there's just something about them that resonate with me. But I think if you wanted to boil it down to the ultimate portrayal of the Doctor, I think you wind up with a tag team, like a tug of war between 4 and 11 and 1.
Yeah.
None of whom are my favorites.
Because one's so unique
He's
compared to the rest.
He's
so unique.
None of them are my favorites, right?
Yeah.
How about this? 1, 4, 11, and 13. Those are
fair
sort
enough.
of
You got to have multiples.
those are the ultimate portrayals of the Doctor, and none of them are on my short list of favorites.
Yeah.
But I'll argue to the death that their portrayals were perfect, right? That they did all of the things right, and they imbued it with such personality, and so they charged it with a perfect type of energy, right? They're just not the ones that, right? And that's true about all of them.
Yeah. And that's what what I like about Matt is the energy that he consistent level of holding back his glee.
Yeah.
And when he does an aside and when he gets angry, because in the next season, when he gets angry because someone's kidnapped Amy,
Yeah.
I want you to run away.
Yeah.
I want you to get on the radio and tell your men to run away.
Yeah. Yeah.
I want people to know who you are,
Yeah.
that you're the man that ran away.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's what I love about his performance and why he's my doctor, because from the moment he pops up, it just, because he has this energy. And I got into a little debate with one of the anti-Jody people when I said that having an energy was not a good reason to like a performance. And it's like, energy doesn't mean vibrating. Energy means how you carry the persona, what energy you let off. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It can be a quiet performance, and it has a certain energy.
But I can't imagine talking about Tom Baker and not mentioning his energy and the energy that he brings to the character, right? Again, like, let's talk about the quintessential doctors, the ones who pop into people's minds around the world, right? And it's 4 and 11. Right?
Yeah.
And that's what they have in common, is you would talk about their energy. So that person, respectfully, is wrong.
Yeah.
Talking about energy is something that you talk about any actor doing, but particularly with Doctor Who, because you have some of the best energetic performances.
Yeah. Oh, you do. And it's also that the thing that Tom Baker talks about, he wanted to be alien.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Matt is more alien than, I think him, Capaldi, and Jodie are the most alien of modern Who. I think Tennant's a little more, you could see a normal person.
I think 9 plays alien pretty well.
Yeah, that's true.
Right?
Yeah, he's pretty alien.
I think,
yeah.
But it certainly is the line that Tom Baker sets. Right? Because, like, he plays alien, and then Davison has to figure out what to do and how to do that in a different way. And so he plays the old man in a young man's body, right? That's his take on Alien, right? Baker's is haughty arrogance and that outfit. And 7th, I will from now on refer to as the Goblin, right? Because he's...
Yeah.
Because that's who he is. He's a goblin and a trickster. And
oh, yeah, he's definitely most of that.
Yeah,
that is.
Yeah, that's how he brings the alienness to it, right? But that's the brief for everybody from the time that, like, I think Baker brings that, and every one of them you can break down on how do you get the alien. I think it was less important. It was less in the forefront of Troughton's mind that he was an alien, but and certainly less so in Pertwee. Those three weren't playing with that idea quite as much.
No, and I think that's why Baker takes that tack.
Yeah,
I think he looks back at the others and going, I think they missed an opportunity.
Exactly.
And that is what that's why his performance holds up.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's not my favorite Doctor.
Right.
But when I go back and watch his stories, and it's a good story, he's incredible.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Like I said, this is one of my favorite. This is my favorite, and season ender of any Doctor Who, and this is not my favorite Doctor, and I'm extolling his virtues. It's just it's doesn't mean that the other stuff is bad, right? Like, I just happen I can't stand any of Tennant's season endings. I just can't stand them, right?
They get bigger and bigger and bigger, and it's more and more and more. And that's I complain about it constantly.
Right, they swing and miss a lot.
Yeah, a lot. There are aspects of them I like, but they're bits and pieces in the middle. And that's what I like about this one. It is so precise.
It knocks it out
that
of
you
the
could
park.
edit together, and it would be a perfectly a perfectly good telemovie.
Mm-hmm.
Almost cinema level movie.
Yeah.
Because there's no fluff. There's silliness, and everything is precise, and the performances are good. Rory and Amy are so good when she figures out who he is. You know, and at the end when she's crying at her wedding with her tiny little da, you know, I love that thing. And, you know, when she's so good when she's going something borrowed, something
blue,
you know, blue.
And you are late
to my wedding. And then he pops up and he goes, "Thank God I'm wearing this thing.
Yeah.
Let me move this. I'm only here for the dancing."
Yeah. And then proceeds to dance with his arms up in the air like that.
And that was just ad-libbed him
That's
trying
just him
to
being
engage
silly.
the kids.
Yeah.
Oh, it's great. I love it. There's so much about it. I love it. The naming of all the aliens, including ones that were in the books, you know. I saw a little note in the wiki that they didn't give anybody credit for the creatures they created. And normally they're required to.
So no Terry Nation.
No Terry Nation, no Jerry Davis.
They named
and there
John
are other
Daleks a couple of times.
And you see Daleks. And they don't have... I think no, if you went in any other Dalek episode after that, you're seeing it. Because, you know, because they do it whenever the Brigadier pops up.
Right.
Courtesy of the Mervyn Haseman's estate. Because someone got in some trouble for using the Brigadier in something and without their permission. And then, so that was happening a couple weeks ago on the internet. It's like, oh, yeah,
listen,
messed up because the way that it works, you know, it's like why with Big Finish they didn't do it. They didn't have the Brigadier in much. When Nick Courtney was there, they could get the rights, and then think for a while they couldn't. And now the family has agreed to let them do it with John Coleshaw playing him. So that's good because he's good at it. I'm in the middle of a Eighth Doctor audio where it's Eighth Doctor and the Brig teamed up. So it's enjoying it. But I like this one. I think this one of the Moffat two-parters, because you got to think, here his first three two-parters are Empty Child Doctor Dances.
Which is my favorite Doctor Who of all time.
Yeah.
It has my
Then
favorite
Silent-
Doctor Who moment of all time.
Yeah. And then it's Silence in the Library.
Right, introducing one
And
of my
then
favorite characters.
And then this one.
And this has my second favorite moment in it.
Yes.
Because this is the great moment where they face off with a Dalek, and River sends her parents off to manage something so she can take care of it herself, and it shows you, you know, all the Doctor's associates are going to show mercy. They're human, they're flawed, they're incapable of being, they're not made of stern stuff, right? They will show mercy. And she's like, check your records. It's a beautiful moment. And it's testament to who women are, frankly. This is a rough moment to be a woman in the United States. And
yes.
Women are being undervalued in all sorts of ways, but they're certainly being undervalued in what they are, how they're going to take this. There's so much River Song and so many women, which is, check your records. That's not who I am.
Yeah.
And then turns it on the Dalek and gets a Dalek, the most evil creature in the universe.
And what does she say when she comes back into the room after killing it?
Well, they said, well, who told you he was dead? And they say, well, the Doctor. And she said, that's rule number 1 of traveling with the Doctor. The Doctor lies. And then they said, what happened to the Dalek? And she said, it died. And just keeps walking.
I thought of you when I was watching it. I watched it twice
River
in the
doesn't
last
lie,
2 days.
right?
No, she doesn't.
River doesn't lie.
She'll say spoilers.
Right.
If she doesn't want to let you know something.
That's right. But
because because she knows at this point who she is.
She absolutely knows.
It's kind of like that, with Alan Rickman in the Harry Potter movies. He knew from the beginning,
right?
And she had to know from the beginning, and Moffat knew that.
Right.
You have to know who you are,
right? So
you can play the scenes honestly.
Right. Now he says that it wasn't that when
it wasn't
Silence,
the very beginning.
When Silence in the Library was first written, he enjoyed the creation of this character, but he wasn't positive that she was going to come back over and over and over again. He knew who she was when he created her, because he couldn't stop. He was like, wouldn't it be interesting? Like, I have to have somebody in the library. Wouldn't it be neat if it was a set of archaeologists? Wouldn't it be interesting if one of the archaeologists had knowledge of the Doctor, right? Like, and that's how but he just kept going. And he just kept going and just kept going. And so then when he creates Amy, he added that. He added that to the Amy. So it's not, so River doesn't fully exist until Amy exists, right? And so, because I wanted to find a story about the casting of Alex Kingston in doing research for this, and I couldn't find one. I've not heard this, we interviewed all sorts of people, and when she walked in the room, that story isn't out there, right? Or I never had anybody in mind but, right? Because, again, River isn't fully River until Amy is created. And
I think with Alex Kingston, it's like you find out she's available and you go book her.
Yeah.
Because
all she was there for would be the Silence of the Library, right?
Yeah, like we've got Alex Kingston from ER fame and from
Boudica.
I forget. But no, that's after, isn't it?
No.
It's before. But no, it's another classic. Madame Bovary.
Yeah.
Is it Madame Bovary? Or she had done a classic one where she's the female lead.
Maud Flanders.
Maud Flanders, thank you. That was it. So, I'll do her. And I mean, she's worked in America. She works everywhere.
She works everywhere. No, she's
great.
This is your, one of the things that you taught me over, Warrior Queen, where she played Boudica, was 2003. Maud Flanders was 1996.
Was that pre-ER?
No.
Post, okay.
Because ER was, wait a second. Maybe she got into, where's ER on here?
It's in the 90s. She's got to be listed because she was a regular.
No, I know. I know, but I'm not seeing. There's the bill. That's 88. Carrington,
it's after that.
Infiltrator, Last of the Czars, The Knock, Saint X, Maud Flanders, Weapons of Mass Destruction, Croupier, Essex Boys. Oh, wait a second. ER's up here. 97 to 2009. So she was in late.
Oh, yeah. She was in... She doesn't make it to the end.
Yeah, but ER... I thought ER started before 97. I thought that was on...
She didn't come in till like the 4th or 5th season.
Okay.
It was on for a fucking long time.
It was.
No.
Yeah. Okay.
She kind of replaced
It started in 94, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So someone had left.
Right.
I think it was not Miriam Margolyes. The original lead, female lead, was getting ready to lead.
Yeah.
Because her and Clooney were kind of going off to do films. Julia Margolyes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like her. Good actress.
Well, I think one of the things that you've taught me is that there are talented people, and then there are people with the work ethic who show up prepared and are professional and are talented, right?
Yes.
And so those are the people that you look at, like Peter Davison, right? That man does not ever stop working, and neither does Kingston.
Bonnie Langford's like that,
right? But neither does Kingston. Even though Kingston has entered a phase and an age in life where she is not where they don't create a lot of roles for women. She
is going to work through that, because I think
she's older than you.
I know.
All right.
And she's aging way better than I am.
She's older than you are. And okay, just for the record, y'all, he's old. He's really old. All right, and so
is Leslie paying you to say these things?
No. I mean, I'm old, right? But he's really old because he's at least almost 2 years older than I am. So, but seriously, in '96, she was already over 30, playing Maud Flanders, right?
But is she really, unless you see her compare, if I'm not looking at a picture of ER era and this era of now to her, she seems ageless.
Well, but
I can see it because I can see I can see some of the weather, I can see some of the aging on the face. But I don't see it and then go, oh my God, she's gotten so much older.
Yeah, but 50s. Like, she was in her 50s when she did Upstairs, Downstairs, NCIS, Bukowski, played Lady Macbeth, Chasing Shadows, American Odyssey. Well, she's still playing River. She's in her 50s. No, Wedding of Ritter's... Yeah. She's in her 50s. With Name of the Doctor, Rain Gods, Husbands of River Song. When she plays Dinah Lance in Arrow. She in Gilmore Girls and Shoot the Messenger. And she just did... she did a TV series called The Widow. She did Blue Bloods. And she's just done Discovery of Witches. This is a time frame when women do not work as actors.
No, unless you're a rare occasion, people like Glenn Close is just going, I'm just going to go do stage, where there's a little more work for you on stage.
Right.
Not a lot more, a little more.
But I mean, a great conversation with Jessica Lange and Sarah Paulson, and
they have the worst time.
Right, Sarah Paulson is entering that era, and is like, she's in her 40s now, and she'll continue to work, but you will see all the other women drop away.
I can name 3 from our youth that have worked straight through, and it's Glenn Close, Meryl Streep. No,
that's it, right? Because Sissy Spacek dropped off the radar, right? Like,
she's just now. She did she's doing a science fiction series with J.K. Simmons on Amazon, and that alone makes me want to watch those two act together.
Absolutely, but you have to be a special combination of things, and right, and that's what one of the great things about that documentary fluff piece with Tea with the Dames, where it's Joan Plowright and Eileen Atkins and
Judi Dench and Maggie Smith.
And
it's such a fucking joy to watch. I've watched it twice.
I know, but it's
when
great. There's a great moment where they're like,
Olivier.
Yeah, the problem is they ask him about work, and they're like, Judy, right? They're like, the only time you ever got called was when Judy had said no, right? And it's great, but that's the same thing, is that those women are the ones who worked in their 50s. And when you look at Kingston's CV, when you look at her filmography, she works and works and works. She's proven.
Penelope Wilton, she's like that.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I have money bet we see Harriet back.
Oh, I hope so.
Well, no, because Davies always puts her in his shows.
I hope so. She's wonderful. I'd like River to come back, right? Like, I'll take it. I have so much joy with this season because I remember you after after the Angels one, the where with River, the and I remember you asking me, what do you think of River Song? And I said, I don't know, I don't trust her. And you went, okay, keep me posted. And it's right. So that skepticism I hold on to, because it's this season is still right. Seeing her is every one of these is still great. I mean, she might be best in Let's Kill Hitler, but boy, this one's awful good. Yeah, but this one's awful good.
Yeah. And the reason I asked you that, it was like, why, when you were watching Old Who, all I would say to you about McCoy's era is, I want to know what you feel about Ace.
Right.
And then I wouldn't ask you anything else.
Right.
Because I knew.
You said the same thing about Leela. You asked me the
Layla
same
too.
thing about
It's like,
Leela because
I held back.
Yeah.
I didn't try to sell you. I didn't try to give you any hints because I wanted to see what your reaction is, because your take on female characters is very different.
Yeah.
And I want to make, but see, I thought maybe Leela, she's not going to make like Leela because it's the Tarzan kind of aspect of blah blah blah. Because I think a great deal of Leela. I think Leela is a very well-rounded character, and a lot of that comes from Louise Jameson's performance.
Absolutely,
it is.
But she fills
the gaps.
Yep, she does, and
I think that's what Alex Kingston does, and I think what Sophie Aldred do.
Yep,
they fill the gaps.
Yep, but they also had a writing team that saw that. Right?
It's writers that learn to write for their actors.
That's right.
And it's
That's right.
It's the thing.
And Leela gets there. Leela starts out as very wooden, and
but by the second story,
right? Because the writers saw that they had something, and they were like, "We don't have to make her right." Where there's something for the dads, fine in her outfit, but she's fierce.
Yeah, she is. And I think Moffat, when he got Alex Kingston, he was like, oh. I think the reason he brings River back is because of Alex Kingston's performance. I think he goes, I have so much more to work with here.
Yep.
And I don't have to work as hard.
That's right.
I don't have to work as hard. That's when you get a good actor who knows her. I could see her perform in an Aaron Sorkin piece.
Yes.
I think she would be perfect using his words.
Yep.
You know what I mean? I think she would just walk into it and just float on that dialogue.
So
because she gets everything. It's like spoilers when she's dressed as Cleopatra.
Mm-hmm.
She makes me melt.
So listen, I'm gonna cover her here for you. I absolutely am. I am a professional, and I get to have this opinion. I don't know who else gets to have this opinion, but don't try this at home. I'm a professional. That spacesuit that she wears in Silence of the Library is criminal, that it hides her amazing figure, right? That you don't get to see, like what you get to see in later episodes, and I am grateful to her for wearing it as well as she does, because she's gorgeous and she's thick.
Is.
She's not
she
a
is,
tiny
and that's
little
kind of
thing.
why I think that's kind of why I liked her, because it was like
she looks like
she ate a sandwich. She ate a sandwich.
She ate a sandwich, right? Like Ross and I have been talking about this our whole lives. That fashion makes looks for models that look like 12-year-old boys, and I am not interested in a 12-year-old boy. I'm interested in, as a lesbian, as like I said, I'm a professional. I am interested in women that look like women, and Alex Kingston is a fine example of the feminine figure.
There's this thing with River Song that she is willfully sexual. Mm-hmm. She uses it as part of her how she controls a room.
She uses it as a weapon.
She does.
It's
she weaponizes
part of the things in her arsenal, right?
Yeah, I can do this. I'm smarter than you. I'm pretty enough, and I can flirt like the best. And I'm going to say the things that are going to make you do what I want. Yep. And it's great. And I'm listening to. I'm still playing catch up on Big Finish, and Jeff has gone back. And actually listened. He's not a big River Song fan on the show, but now he gets her because of the audios, and her audios are amazing.
I bet.
Yeah, they are. And her daughter plays an android. She's been in a handful too, but she's just wonderful. It's a great character. I recommend the River Song, the Adventures of River Song in the audios. The first time when they did the Masterful set, I think it's the Masterful set, where she teams up with Benny. Mm-hmm. Or no, that was the first Ides of March, the Women of March. They've done 2 Women of March sets, and I think it's in that, and her in the I may be wrong, but there's one where she teams up with Benny because basically she's a surrogate Benny. You know, I mean, if
the archaeologist,
you know, I could have seen Davies go, instead of having Moffat just go to Paul Cornell and goes, let's do a Benny story, and it could be you know. But I think having it be a new character and meeting a doctor who exists before her husband is because, and I think there's enough room in the universe for Benny and River, you know, and it's just, she's just so good. I mean, we've gone real off track, and it's mostly about, we're talking about her in this, but this is a great story for Matt Smith, for his doctor. It is a great tie-up to the whole crack in the universe, even though the reason for the explosion isn't, you know, 100% true, whatever. There's still bits of it. But it also lets you see the heavy lifting of the acting and the ability of Karen Gillan and Arthur Darvill. You know,
this is as good as
the 3 of them are good.
Oh,
there's a reason. I'm a huge reason that in the next season it's a threesome, because they're a great triple act.
They just feed off of each other so well, so perfectly. I mean,
I'm a big Roy fan.
It shows you that Darvill's such a pro. It's like a great volleyball setup every time. Oh my God! Right? He pops that ball right up for Gillen to then frame perfectly for Matt to spike over it's every single time, and
he's the subtler of the 3.
He is,
and it's he's in the background, listening. You can see him actively listen to them.
You can,
and he judges them, and he's great with a little thing.
There's head tilts. Yeah, there's head tilts. There's furrowing, a slight furrowing of the brow that he does, and they just ping right off of it. Oh
God! And this one is when I love the scene where the timey-wimey stuff with the doctor, and when he punches the doctor.
Yeah.
I do like the thing when Matt drops out of frame and it pops up in frame and goes, "That boy!" and cracks his jaw.
Yeah.
But I also, there are moments there's one, and I don't remember which one it is, was where he's helping the doctor fix the TARDIS, and Amy's wearing a mini skirt, and he's underneath, and he's like, I'm distracted.
Yeah.
He's Rory.
Yes. Yeah.
Or in Silence of the, or in God Complex, where he doesn't have a room.
Yeah.
There's no room for him in that because he doesn't have that kind of faith.
Yeah.
He's not susceptible to the monster. Because Rory is such a good character. I think he's a very under-celebrated character. I know a lot of people who dislike Moffat, and they go and get who dislike, they're not as big of fans of Moffat and Karen Gillan, and some people think that Amy stayed too long. But they never say Rory stayed too long. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't.
And I don't disagree that the Roy Amy story could have ended earlier. You know.
Well, except that you don't want to see 11. You really don't want to see 11 without them, as proved by the next season.
Yeah.
Right?
Well,
it's flat because it's flat because the kinetic energy isn't there anymore. He really got used to pinging off of them.
Yeah, the doctor's a little more somber, and I think, but they write into it that there's a long period of time, and he's and they're good to do that. I like Clara, and I like Clara in a lot of her adventures with them, with 11, but she's so much better with Capaldi.
So much.
Yeah, it's just a better fit.
Jenna Coleman is so good in everything she touches, that it's a
just
little rough to watch that season with the doctor.
And I want to talk about this. You have not read Sandman, the comic, right?
No, it's just not for me. I've tried.
It's not for you.
Right.
I get that.
Yeah, I've tried.
But they're doing the TV series.
Right.
Okay. And they've, instead of, for Death, who is white, white, like the color white, not sickly peachy,
Yeah.
like human skin,
Right.
white people skin,
Right.
with an African American actress.
Right.
Lucifer is played by that tall, statuesque Gwendolyn.
Yeah. Yeah.
From
Game of Thrones.
Talk about.
Yeah.
She's like River is to me. It's like,
I know.
hurt me. But instead of having John Constantine,
Right.
Constantine, the character is normally a blonde man
Uh-huh.
who's supposed to look like David Bowie. It is Joanna Constantine, played by Jenna Coleman.
Yeah.
So that, to me, and people are going to freak out. I don't give a crap. They went for
They went
that
for
is
an
a
actor.
major part,
Yeah.
and they went to a big star.
Yeah. They went to a big star, but also an actor.
Yeah.
They chose.
but, I
They
mean,
chose an actor for that role.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
could. They decided that they were going to choose anybody, and they wanted somebody with a name, and they found the actor
Well, and I mean,
because she
Gaiman's
can.
producing.
She can work.
She knows Gaiman.
Yeah.
She knows him. She's done his work. She's acted his script, one of his scripts.
Yeah.
It's a Cyberman one that everybody else complains about, but I
love
like it. But
Oh,
I like.
Nightmare in Silver is one of my favorite Cyberman stories. It's so.
Oh,
perfect.
same here.
So
Because
perfect.
Warwick Davis just.
Well, honestly, it's. I cannot fully get. We'll get there, when we do the Idris, the TARDIS episode, the Doctor's wife.
Yeah.
When we do that episode, that's an actor obviously that I love, but I can't. That's so Gaiman to me. I cannot read Gaiman. I've tried to read the books. I've tried to read the comics. I can't read. Gaiman does not speak to me. My wife is a huge Gaiman fan, and that's great. It just doesn't work for me. Now, I love Terry Pratchett, okay? I think Pratchett's work is genius, and my wife cannot read Pratchett, right? There's some people that don't speak
No,
to
there
you.
are writers.
And so
Everybody has a writer
the
that
fact
speak
that
to you.
Gaiman and Pratchett loved each other's work and wrote together, I think is also makes perfect sense, right? So they so I loved Good Omens, right?
Yeah, I've not watched the show.
Oh, please, you have to. I love
I
Good
need to.
Omens.
Me and Leslie need to today. Sometime today, we're going to watch the mid-season finale of Stranger Things.
Yeah.
But because we got to a point to where that was the only episode, but it was 2 hours. I said I got to go to bed.
Yeah,
So we're gonna.
I've not started that one yet. I'm not.
It's really fucking good.
I'm not watching. I'm not watching much TV. Like I said, I'm watching the January 6th hearings when I am seated. This is a busy season for me.
Yeah. I think it's something you would. If you watch the other seasons, you will. It's.
Yeah, I'll get there.
They're wrapping it up in a bow, and it's a beautiful bow.
I'll get there. No, I'll definitely get there. I'm a fan of that show. But plus it's got Dungeons and Dragons in it. But I'm gonna.
Oh, there's more of it.
I know.
You're
I know.
really gonna love it. Oh, it's so much more Dungeons and Dragons in it.
But the point of me talking about we were talking about gaming and everything. That Doctor's Wife episode doesn't work for me. It's just too weird, which is what
it is
gaming
weird, but
is.
It has one of my favorite lines of all in Doctor history.
Yeah.
I like biting. It's kissing, but with a winner.
Yeah.
I love her in everything she does.
Everything.
Everything. She could be. I would love for her to play the Doctor one day.
Everything. She's so very different. She's chameleon-like. Right?
Oh God! When you get a chance, and if you want that vigil, the murder mystery on the submarine, you will absolutely because her and Rose Leslie are lovers.
Oh Jesus! I don't think I could handle that.
Yeah, just wait until leave.
Right.
It's like and it's all very much just in conversation, but it's kind of like whoo. It's amazing. It's a great show, and it's got a great cast.
My mom has always heard that's our that our Moors were a sept of the Leslie clan, the one that her father is the clan chief of, and he resides in the he resides in the castle. Yeah, so my mom always heard that we were of the Leslie clan. I can't prove it, right? Because when you're a sept,
I don't see any of her in you. Sorry.
No. But the sept, right, would be of when there's your last name and my mother's last name were not clan names, right? They don't have actual clans. They belonged to a clan, but it was probably region based, and so I can't prove that we were of any. I haven't ever been able to find us in Scotland. But anyway, no, my point is that I don't relate to the Doctor's Wife, but I find Nightmare in Silver to be an almost perfect Doctor Who episode.
It gets you and me. I think are the only two people I know who really love it. I love it for a lot of reasons. One, I like the redesign of the Cybermen. I mean,
but the Cybermen as knights charging a castle, right?
Oh,
makes absolute sense.
And the evil Met, good Met.
Yeah.
Thing. And actually Cybermats that are scary because they're little and they don't have felt teeth.
Right. Well, and the whole reason that they go there, right? They set up a Disney World. The Doctor goes to Disney World is what this is. And Disney World is in a dystopic situation. There's a castle, and then there are knights in silver armor who are
do you think it doesn't speak to English people because they don't have the same kind of amusement parks we have, unless they've gone to
they all go to Disney World, right? Like there's a thing in this very episode that we're talking about where they go to Space Florida, right? They all go to Disney World.
All I could think of was Space Santos and him being the villain they fought in that adventure.
I mean, they don't all go because it's really expensive to do, but yeah, they leave their island more than we leave our continent, right?
I've never been outside of this continent.
Yeah, but they leave much more easily and much more frequently. Yeah. So coming here is not as big a deal to us, to them as it is to us to leave. Anyway.
There were some good tangents in this, and folks, we hope you enjoyed them. But Vic, is there anything you're listening to, reading, or doing that you want to plug or not plug? Or
I am reading Supreme Court decisions, and I am watching congressional hearings, and so
She reads them, so I don't have to.
Yeah,
because
I do.
I can understand enough of them.
No, I do. I read them so that I can tell, so that other people don't have to suffer through them. But I read them because they impact my life, and it's a hard time to be an American. It's a hard time to know that Iranian women have more rights than we do, that Afghani women have more rights than and are valued more highly than women are in my country. That's a hard, right? We've been taught that women who have to live under regimes that are in Iran or who live under the pressures from the Taliban in Afghanistan and things like that, that they are oppressed. And it's tough. It is absolutely tough to understand that we've allowed this to happen in our country. But I do find hope in the congressional hearings because I think they're laying out a case very well of criminal intent. And but it's very hard right now. And so it's nice to escape into other things. I'm escaping into physical labor a lot more. And that's what I'm going to do today.
Yeah. I'm going to go for a nice long walk, which is my weekend thing, 2 hours, and put probably Doctor Who in my ear or, listening to some wonderful podcasts.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to listen to Hannah Arendt's Origins of Totalitarianism while I'm working today.
All right. I was going to ask you. I had a credit on Audible, and I was like, hey, man, I'll get Vic the recommended biography. And then I went, you know what? I'm too lazy to read the Dune novels, so I'm listening to
That's
them.
Good.
Well, no, and it's one of those Audible books what has 3 or 4 people doing different chapters.
It's almost like a Big Finish, yeah.
Yeah. But I'm doing that. I was lucky enough. A gentleman named Wayne Bibbs does a podcast called the Virulent Podcast. I'm going to say it wrong, but I'll put a link to it when I post this later today. And he had me on about talking about things positive. He had listened to my comic podcast, Stop Makes Less Simp, and I'm trying to be very positive about things because there's a lot of negativity in fandom.
That's right.
As we saw with Obi-Wan, and it's, I think it's just, and people go, well, Star Wars fandom's broken, Doctor Who fandom, all of it is. Discourse is broken. Y'all don't know how to speak to each other in a civil manner and in a positive fashion. Doesn't mean you have to like everything. You can talk in a positive way and not be rude or racist or misogynistic, because that's what you're really doing. And we're seeing this problem we have in our culture. It is all the shit that's going on is all tied together with how we interact with one another in a lot of ways, and how it's us against them, which is crap. We're all in this together. And stop saying, what about me? And my,
That's right.
it's the whole pandemic. If you want to hear me go on a tirade about the people that didn't even want to do the simplest things of wash their hands and wear a goddamn mask, that made my life and everybody in healthcare or all the essential people's lives far more difficult, because the people that were woo, you're making me wear a piece of paper on my face. Just shut the fuck up.
Yep.
So, but I'd check out Wayne's podcast. It was a very nice conversation. I'll post a link when I post this later today. But that's it. But you can find us here at on Twitter at Gallifrey's MW Pod or at Runcible Report. And if you would, please check out my comic podcast, Stop Let's Team Up, and you can find that on Twitter at JSA4E. That is JSA, the number 4, the letter E, or at Stop. Just Google Stop Let's Team Up or Gallifrey's Most Wanted, and you can find our links and feeds. We jump very much to the top. So, but until we're back, we look forward to seeing you all somewhere in time or space.